Hello and welcome back to the LFC transfer room for another live stream. Today I'm joined by Richie, Matty, and Jay. Richie, I'll start with you. The heat's gone a bit down, but it's still lovely and humid in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very close. You're going to have to walk 5 steps and you are literally dripping with sweat. So we're still not quite what we're used to at the moment, but hopefully everyone's staying safe out there and not melting too much.
Yeah, and Matty, yourself, how are you doing today?
Just made up to see a bit of wind, to be honest with you. That isn't just it smelt like when you opened the front door yesterday, like when you get off a plane. It was that hot. Mad.
Yeah, Jay, it feels like we're in Spain, doesn't it?
I made up that now. It's been dead breezy here today. I've loved it. I've been like Marilyn Monroe. Let me dress blow up and that. Best day ever, lads, after the last two.
Yeah, if you were in the UK, the last two were absolutely unbearable, to say the least. But it looks like we're over that 40-degree weather, which is quite nice. But if you are new to the stream, guys, make sure you leave a like on the video. Also, subscribe, get your comments in, and get commenting on the video. Today we're going to be discussing, just having a little look on the Premier League transfers throughout the whole, mainly the main top six, but we'll have a little look at other clubs who've done some business as well. But our first club we will start on is Arsenal. Had a quite productive transfer window, maybe still a few players they could do a buy-in, but they signed Gabriel Jesus from Manchester City for 45 million. Fabio Vieira, someone Liverpool were heavily linked with for years, for 34 million. And they've let the likes of Alexandre Lacazette and Matteo Guendouzi go. But Richie, looking at the ins for the transfers, they could do with maybe a couple more players, but so far, Gabriel Jesus and Fabio Vieira, that's a good two signings, isn't it? That improves on the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Arteta era is well and truly underway. Jesus is a very astute signing for his age at 25. And for the fee that I paid, I think that's a decent fee. That is, I know it's his last year of his contract, but for a 25-year-old who is going to play football and does score goals, I think he might also be their penalty taker. I think that's a really good signing. They're building on the likes of the Ben White, the Kieran Tierney, the Tomiyasu signings too, the Erdegaards, etc., but also bleeding in the likes of Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe. So Arsenal certainly, it seems like they're going around about the right way. I'm really interested to see what Fabio Vieira can do because, as you mentioned, Liverpool were linked to him from Porto. They signed him for 22.5 million. And, I'd be interested to see how he hits the ground running because I was a bit sketchy when Liverpool were linked to him if that was going to be our midfielder. So it'd be really interesting to see what he does. Marquinhos as well, the right winger from Sao Paulo, is another one as well. I don't know whether he'll go straight into the team. But, the Arteta era is about youngsters. And, I know they signed Matt Turner as well. He's obviously not going to be starting ahead of Ramsdale, but they're building quite a young team. Ben White is fairly young for a centre-back, especially Kieran Tierney, the likes. And, we've not even mentioned Zinchenko, who can cover for Kieran Tierney on that left-hand side. But also, he's been tearing it up for Ukraine in the centre of midfield. Now, that's an upgrade on Granit Xhaka. I don't think that's probably too hard to do. So Arsenal have done, fairly decent business. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do. I've gone with Gabriel Jesus in the FPL, in the fantasy league as well, because I think he might just bang,
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask that. I completely forgot about Zinchenko because I don't think it's been announced yet.
It's not official now, but it's
yeah.
The fee's agreed, isn't it? They've agreed the fee, so.
Yeah, I mean, Matty, as Richie said there, Gabriel Jesus in the FPL seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? That he's going to get some goals with Chelsea, with Arsenal. That seems like the thing they've been missing is a goal scorer, and he's proven against us. He can score goals, and if he does a job for Arsenal, then they're going at 45 million. Might look like a bargain, mightn't it?
I think it is a bargain, to be honest with you. People forget how young he is. He is only 25 as well, so he hasn't even arguably hit his prime yet. He's still only ultimately learning his trade, and he's very, very experienced in that sense as well. He's won a good few leagues, hasn't he, with City? But I think with Arsenal as well, the important signings are ones you wouldn't even think of. Sort of like Maitland-Niles coming back off a loan. He's had a season out in Roma, I think it was, and he was
Yeah.
unbelievable there. So he could come back in and be fighting for the first team places, and he's a good player. And then they loaned out with Chris and Hector Bellerin as well, and they both had good seasons where they got loans. So they have got a good squad when you look at it. Like people, I think you forget about loans that come back in, like I do myself usually, until you have a look. And they've got a good few players. Even Reece Nelson, he spent a loan in final, and he's back. Like these players could challenge to maybe get in an Arsenal side, which then improves the quality, regardless of what you may think of the quality of the Arsenal players. It'll improve them if they've got players challenging them for their positions every day.
Sorry, just to jump in really quick about the loan signings, they've got Willy Saliba back as well. We've had a decent loan spell out in Marseille too, 21-year-old centre back as well, bolstering their ranks. So yeah, absolutely, these loan spells, have done them wonders, it seems. So for them to come back in and fight for that first team, Pablo Mari's another one, isn't he, from Udinese? So it'll be interesting to see what they do, because they've certainly spent a lot. I don't know whether some of these will get shifted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jay, we look at the signings they've made. As they've said, Saliba's coming back. Zinchenko can play left back in midfield. You've got Fabio Vieira as like a winger midfielder, and Lacazette, Gabriel Jesus as the striker. Do you think there's anywhere else where they can improve to, maybe push on to get, that top four? I don't think they're going to be challenging for the league just yet, but, a top four is definitely a possibility, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, they should have finished fourth last season. They threw it away a bit. Done a bit of a lister under Rodgers, to be honest. It was in their hands for a good few games at the end of the season, and they blew it. But I think obviously they're going to let Jesus play as a striker where he didn't really get that opportunity at City. So I imagine he'll be the main man up top. I don't know if they're still a striker short, to be honest. Because if Jesus can't bang them in or picks up an injury, they've only really got Nketiah. And I know he's done well at the end of the season, but they haven't fancied him for years. I also think Zinchenko, it depends on where he plays. Because I don't know if he'll play holding midfield, and if he doesn't, I think Thomas Partey's been a massive disappointment, and Xhaka's just a diet version of Sergio Ramos. He just loves yellow cards and red cards, so I think he's a bit of a liability when you're trying to ingrain young kids into the team and stuff, and then when your experienced player's the one getting booked every game or sent off, he's leaving it on the youngsters to try and save the game then. So maybe a holding midfield and maybe a striker, but I think they've done good business so far.
Yeah, definitely. Again, guys, a lot of regulars joining the stream, so make sure you do leave a like on the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. We make content every single day. But before we get on to the next club, I just really want to quickly go over to Steven Gerrard's new side, Aston Villa. Matty, I'll go to you on this. So far, they've done the business really early. Pretty much within the fit before the transfer window even opened. Diego Carlos from Sevilla for 26 million beat out a lot of top clubs for him. Felipe Coutinho for 17 million, and a really surprising one, Kamara, who everyone was interested in. I mean, I still think there are a few players off, but that's a great window for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it shows the pull of Steven Gerrard as well. I think someone like Kamara probably could have went to a European side, Premier League side in Europe, something like that. But he's went there because he's a midfielder going to learn off Steven Gerrard. I think that's massively important for pulling players like that. And they've had a fantastic window. I mean, even getting Coutinho for, what was it, like 17, 18 mil, something like that. That's insane. Insane to get. Coutinho he was once valued at 120 odd million, whatever we sold him for. He's still got that ability in him if he plays. And he did play well for Villa. So getting him in for that cheap's insane. And the players they've got rid of, they got good fee for Matt Target, and then it's just pretty much being deadwood. It'll be interesting to see if that Chukwuemeka goes. But if he goes for 20 mil, then they're pretty much broke even, and they brought in that quality of players, and you can't really tell me anyone who's left them who you'd think decent player in, other than Khan, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. We'll gloss over the rest and just go straight on to Chelsea. Ritchie, they've Thomas Tuchel obviously wanted a lot of players to come in. He wanted a massive rebuild. Christensen left, Rudiger left on a free. Lukaku obviously got his loan move. They're still looking for a lot of players, but they have brought in Raheem Sterling for 47.5 million. Koulibaly for 33 million. Both of them are now their top 2 highest earners. They're on the edge of signing Jules Koundé for 60 million, and he will come in on a ridiculous wage of £390,000 per week, if reports are to be believed. So they've the 3 new highest earners of that. They're also interested in Kimpembe, a right winger. You know, what are your thoughts, Richie, on the window so far? You know, it's a big statement from Todd Bowley to come in and spend the amount of money that he is spending, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he had to placate the fans from the Abramovich era, the hangover of Abramovich. I think he needed to come in and make sure that he said, hang on, quite, you know, under a transfer embargo, but also I do have money to spend. The Koulibaly one raised my eyebrows a little bit at 31. Chelsea have got him in for now. Now, again, you know, whether or not they sign Jules Koundé from Sevilla is up in the air, isn't it? Because Barcelona have essentially said, well, if you wait, we'll buy you. And we know what's happening with Barcelona at the moment.
Within the past couple of hours, I think Chelsea have just had a bid accepted for him, and Koundé's had personal terms agreed. So it looks like, unless something crazy happens, Koundé will be a Chelsea player.
For £390,000 a week, I might even think about signing for Chelsea, to be fair. So, you know, if let's say he does come in, you've got Thiago Silva and Koulibaly at centre-back, and now they play a back 3, so you'd expect Koundé to go in there too. But that doesn't... I still don't think that's great, if I'm honest. I don't know why it doesn't feel... They're powerhouses, aren't they? Absolutely. And I'm not saying that Koulibaly's slow, because he isn't. But at the same time, I wouldn't really be that bothered if I was the likes of Salah and Diaz and Nunez lining up against that. Raheem Sterling, I think, is a very astute signing, because that's a massive improvement on what they've already got in either Pulisic, who can't seem to stay fit, Timo Werner as well. If they're going to play Kai Havertz as that false 9, Sterling would probably be that perfect player to actually play alongside him, to find those pockets of spaces and to run into as well. So I think Sterling is a very smart move, especially for 50 million. I think that's a good move. Lukaku, disaster. Rudiger going on a free is a disaster. Christensen leaving on a free is a disaster. Azpilicueta is apparently leaving on a free as well. Chelsea's not had the best window, have they? Losing a lot of key players, I think. We'll see. But at the minute, unless they do sign, you know, the players who they're linked to, it'll be interesting to see where Armando Broja goes, because he's an absolute player. And I know that West Ham are obviously interested in tracking him as well. But they've not, you know, I was more worried about Chelsea last season than I am this season.
Yeah, I mean, going on that Broja deal, obviously West Ham, I think, are very close to agreeing a £30 million fee with him. But, you know, Jay, as Richie's just mentioned there, you know, Azpilicueta is very close to becoming a Barcelona player. Now, I think they're not getting much for him. And Marcus Alonso as well wants to play for Barcelona. So, you know, there's another 2 players to look might be losing. Yes, they've got Chilwell and James, but, you know, the backup options aren't great there, are they? And you'd think, you know, maybe bring in another centre-back who could play right back. But again, you're bringing in a whole new defence, basically, aren't you? And, you know, that could spell disaster for next season, couldn't it?
That's what's going to be the challenge for Chelsea. They've lost so many players at the back. I can't remember a time where the team has lost so many players in one position in transfers in one season, especially players that actually play. Rudiger, I think, is a massive loss. I thought Rudiger was outstanding last season. Honestly, I thought he was brilliant. If they could have had Rudiger and Koulibaly as the 2 centre-halves this season, that would have been a very, very good back two, in my opinion. I know Richie said Koulibaly's 31. I still rate him very highly, and he had Salah in his pocket all game when we played Napoli. He didn't get a sniff at all, Salah. So I think Chelsea have addressed the situation as well as you can. They've just lost 3 to 4 defenders. They brought in Koulibaly, who I still rate as a top defender, and Koundé, the beginning of last season, was arguably the best defender in the Liga until Sevilla slipped off a bit. So I think they made 2 good signings, but yeah, it's going to take time for it to gel. So I think not next season, the season after, it will look a lot stronger for them. But I think they signed good players. But like you say, it's a brand new back line, and with them playing 3 at the back, they probably could do with another centre half because they've only got obviously Chalobah, Sarr as backup, I think. So yeah, they're
Ampadu
definitely
as well.
light.
Ethan Ampadu's back, isn't he? From loan as well.
Yeah, from alone.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, maybe they need another centre half, to be fair to them, because if you're playing 3 at the back, you need 6 centre halves really.
Yeah, I mean, Tuchel has asked for 3 centre backs. Presnel Kimpembe is one that's on the lips, but it looks like that might be dead in the water. But Matty, you know, they were interested in Rafinha, obviously a right-sided winger. They've lost Lukaku. They don't really have a recognised striker. You know, Timo Werner's not really the man for them. Do you think they need to go and improve their attack as well as the defence?
Yeah, to be fair, I think Chelsea at this moment in time are probably having one of the worst windows in the league, to be fair. Bringing Koulibaly in is good business. He is brilliant. He is 31, so I think that's a more of an immediate fix rather than looking to the future. He's going to be there for 2-3 years and then probably go to America. Sterling's an unbelievable signing. Having Conor Gallagher back as well, that's like a new signing in itself. He's been fantastic for Palace, but losing Lukaku, Werner doesn't score for them. They still aren't very good going forward, and I think that's what cost them last year. I think that's why they slipped off, because when they had a few injuries, the drop-off was stupid. Chelsea was in the mix to be winning the league, Liverpool and City, up until about Christmas, and then they ended up, what was like 20 points behind us, something stupid like that. So they need more depth and they need more attackers as well, and I think letting Rudiger go was insane, to be honest with you. I think he was world-class last year. That's insane to let him go. And just look how else who they've let go. They haven't let anyone else go, but Rudiger and Christensen's big ones, more so Rudiger, I'd say. Lukaku is a mad one. I think they're mad to let him go for 7.2 mil. But then if you fast forward to the end of the window with all the players they're rumoured to be bringing in and stuff, I think Chelsea probably are the biggest challengers for the league this year with Liverpool and City. But it's if they bring them in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Rudiger's that big of a loss, if I'm gonna lie. I just don't think he plays good in a back two, which is what he'll be playing Real Madrid. You know, I could be proven wrong. He was good in Chelsea's system, but before Tuchel came in, he was an absolute liability for Frank Lampard, and you know, he could succeed, and it'd be stupid not to sign him on a free transfer if you're Real Madrid, but you know, you never know. I'm gonna skip over Liverpool because we talk about Liverpool every day. But again, guys, if you are new, make sure you do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Get your comments in, and we'll bring a few of them up. Okay, on to Manchester City. They've let a fair few players go, a lot of youth players, surprisingly. The main one's gone, obviously, Raheem Sterling to Chelsea. They've also let go Gabriel Jesus and a very highly rated backup keeper, Gavin Bazuna, to Southampton for 15 million, which City fans aren't happy about. But the main players they've brought in, Calvin Phillips from Leeds for 50 million and Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund for 51 million. And you've also got Julian Alvarez arriving from River Plate. But Ritchie, you know, they're letting a lot of players go and they're not really buying too many people to replace them. Obviously, yes, they're only squad players. But could that backfire on Manchester City when it comes, you know, into the later end of the season?
I don't think so. I think their squad depth was so ridiculously rich in talent anyway. I think that they basically can afford to let these players go. The only one question mark that I would have is perhaps Raheem Sterling, because obviously he was so integral. He was a good goal scorer for Manchester City, more so than Jesus. But Sterling letting them go, I know that Mahrez is potentially going to stay, etc. And you might have more of a Grealish vibe on that left-hand side or right-hand side. Foden can obviously play there too. But Haaland's going to need a lot of support this year. You know, Haaland will need supply coming in. And traditionally, Man City play a 4-3-3, much like, you know, Liverpool. So it'd be interesting to see where, you know, where that does come from, because if they are going to focus more on we've not even mentioned Bernardo Silva might be going, but he's a wonderful little playmaker. As much of a little rat he is, he's a wonderful playmaker, a wonderful footballer. So De Bruyne feeding Haaland is always scary. But at the same time, Phillips is a good signing. That's one for the future. They've obviously just taken out Fernandinho and put in Calvin Phillips. One area which, like I mentioned earlier, it did need strengthening was that forward line. And if Haaland stays fit, he's probably one of the best central strikers in the world. They've also got, and someone who people should probably be looking at, Julian Alvarez is a beast as well. He's an absolute baller. He's 22 years old. He's the future of that Manchester City when Haaland says, actually, I want to go off to Madrid in 2 or 3 years. I think he will be a player to look out for this summer / season. So the Sterling one's a bit puzzling, mainly because he was a big player for Man City. We've not mentioned obviously Cucurella perhaps coming in, although it seems that rumours are that they're like 20 million apart from Brighton's valuation, but they have agreed terms. So we'll see what happens there, because Cucurella will be a very good signing, and that will allow Cancelo then to stay on that right where he is so potent and so deadly, and then Cucurella can play on that left, and then Walker can almost float between centre back and right back. So yeah, I think they've had an okay window. They've certainly not had the best by their standards, mainly because we see Man City spending like 250 million on fullbacks alone every window, let alone everything else. So I don't think they're done. I think they'll bring in Cucurella, and I reckon you could probably expect to see one more, especially if Bernardo Silva leaves. But if Bernardo Silva does leave, I would say that's a massive loss for Man City. And I still think Raheem Sterling is a big loss for Man City too.
Yeah, I mean, Matty, going on to that Cucurella deal, obviously City are known for spending 50 million on right backs and left backs. Brighton know that, so they've slapped a 50 million price tag. Apparently City have offered only 30 million. They are losing Zinchenko to Arsenal, obviously. Is it a risk that they are losing too many players? And we've heard that a lot of players need time to come in and settle. We don't know how good Alvarez is going to be. We don't know if Erling Haaland's going to hit the ground running. We don't know if Calvin Phillips can adapt. I know this is the case for a lot of players, but it seems like a big risk considering they're going to want to push for the Champions League, and they're not really replacing every player they sell, are they?
No, and I don't think Cucurella would go there with in mind that it's the World Cup in December and he's not going to play. They've just give Cancelo number 7. He's playing every week. He always plays. Cucurella's only going to play if Kyle Walker's injured, and Cancelo's got to cover the right, really. And the World Cup's at the end of the year, so he'd be mad to go there. But everyone talks about Julian Alvarez, and he's a player who only scored 53 times in 120 games for River Plate, and now he's coming to Prem. Yeah, he's still only young, but it's going to take years. He's not going to be hitting 20, 30 goals a season for 5, 6 years for City. He's 22. He's still a kid. I don't think he's going to be unbelievable for a long time. When you look at his stats, he only really had one good season in Argentina, which was last year. Erling Haaland, he's a beast. He's a freak when he's fit. I think that's the key as well for City. It's when he's fit. He does miss a lot of games through injury. I know there was a problem, wasn't there, with the Madrid transfer, because he wouldn't reveal his full medical record or something to them. I remember seeing that. So I do think there's more problems with him, and he will probably miss a lot of the games through injury. And if they lose Bernardo Silva, I don't even think City will finish second this year. I think he's that important to them. If you're losing Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus in one window, you've brought Haaland in, but he's not masking over a left winger, a central midfielder and stuff like that. He's going to get them goals when he's fit. But if he misses half the season for injury, like he did with Dortmund last year, for that over half of the season, they're relying on a relatively inexperienced striker. They haven't got Sterling, who was banging for them, and Bernardo Silva is criminally underrated because he's playing next to De Bruyne. You could argue Bernardo Silva's the player who makes that team tick. So if it's a sell him for 80 mil, it's mad. It's mad. And I just don't think
with Bernardo Silva, like he does all of the legwork, doesn't he? But also comes up with the assists so that De Bruyne can play his game. And I think if you put a Bernardo Silva in any team, you know, you would, if you put him in Liverpool, you would see a different Thiago. You know, if you put him in any team in the world, like past or present, that playmaker will always be better because Bernardo Silva's there doing the legwork. But he doesn't just do the legwork; he also scores, he also assists, and he's everywhere. His football intelligence is brilliant. I don't think, even with 80 million, let's say City have 200 million, I don't think you can replace him. I genuinely don't. I think that he's that important to Manchester City, which pains for me to say because, as I mentioned earlier, he's not really the nicest of people, especially towards Liverpool fans. But I don't think they can replace him. So if they did lose Bernardo Silva, I'd be really interested to see what happens to Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, you know, we've spoke about their outgoings and stuff, but who else do you think they can bring in to improve that squad? You know, what position? I mean, I feel like a lot of Manchester City fans aren't really happy with Ederson. Surprisingly, you know, they would prefer someone like Alisson who can do both. I mean, you know, this is a great one-on-one keeper and a great play like with his feet. But is there anywhere else where you think they can massively improve?
I think the way City play, you couldn't really change Ederson. He's a massive part of them playing from the back. I know he's got a mistake in him, but his distribution, it's the best. I love Alisson, but Ederson's distribution's better than his. Alisson's better than Ederson in other goalkeeping areas, which is what you want your goalkeepers to do, to be fair. It's hard to say with City, mate, when a team wins the league by near 100 points every season. There's not much you can do to reach a higher bracket unless you're talking winning every single game. I think what will happen this season is I think Cucurella will play. He'll play at left back, and I think he'll move Cancelo to Sterling's role. I don't think Cancelo will be playing wing back anymore. He'll be playing left wing. Cucurella will take the left back spot. The interesting one is Bernardo Silva, because I think what happens there is if you do sell Bernardo Silva, I think they'll drop Phil Foden into the midfield the way he played for England. He played there one game for England last season. He was ridiculous. He was just pinging passes everywhere. I think his pass accuracy was something like 95%, and I'm not talking 5-yard passes left and back. We're talking forward-thinking passes and creative passes. So the only thing there is that might leave them short on the front line. So I think if Bernardo Silva goes, they definitely need a player, whether that will end up being a central midfielder or someone to actually go on the front line because they drop Foden back into midfield. I definitely think Cancelo's going to be left wing next season. I can almost guarantee it. That's why he's been given number 7. Haaland's obviously up front, Mahrez on the other side. So they could probably do with a forward in losing Sterling, because if Bernardo goes, and it's an if, he might not go. If he doesn't go, I think they're fine. If he does go, then I think Foden drops into his position, and then they'll probably look at bringing another forward in.
We're forgetting to mention the most expensive transfer in English football in history here as well, who also can play on that left-hand side in Jack Grealish. And I don't know about you guys, but surely, you know, the forgotten man as it is. But if Foden is dropping in that midfield, and like you said, that's quite dangerous because he is unreal, that kid. Like, he is unreal.
Mate, in midfield for England, I don't watch them, but honest to God, mate, his performance for England in midfield, it was honestly really, really good to watch.
I mean, he comes across as a 10 or an 8, I would say, more naturally than a left winger. But even on the left, he gave Trent the runaround, you know, the season from season past. And that's not even his natural position. So I think Grealish might have a lot more to say this season, perhaps. I know he didn't hit the ground running. We know that Mahrez didn't hit the ground running straight away under Pep. And maybe Pep's seen something in pre-season for actually Grealish is your man there to play on that side, maybe. But yeah, so Grealish might have a say in it, but I do not think it's a little bit underwhelming from City at the moment.
It's like I say, I think it depends if they sell Silva. It's hard to say it's underwhelming when you've just signed arguably the 7th most exciting striker in the world. I don't think you can be underwhelmed too much. Calvin Phillips is a really good replacement for Fernandinho. I think you'd be a bit disheartened if you seen Sterling and Bernardo Silva go, because they're two brilliant players. But it's like I said, you know, if they replace him with someone fantastic, they're not going to care, because I do think Foden will drop into that midfield and they'll go for a forward player. I mean, for all we know, Foden could go in midfield and he could go and sign Christopher Nkunku, for all we know. And then is it an underwhelming window that you've lost Sterling but gained Nkunku? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the window's still got weeks left. That could easily happen. And then City have had a brilliant window if they bring in Cucurella and then Nkunku. So a lot of this rides on what happens with Bernardo.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the positions, and they've replaced Jesus with Haaland, Alvarez, Sterling with Alvarez, and Fernandinho with Phillips. It's like it feels like it's just a bit underwhelming. Like Ritchie said, we expect them to go out and maybe spend like 80 million on a player just randomly, but I feel like they spent so much money on the Haaland package. We got to remember it wasn't just a 75 million fee. It was 75 million for Dortmund, 40 million for his agent, 30 million for his dad, and then a ridiculous signing on bonus. The deal come at like 300 million. So maybe they are just like, okay, that's the marquee signing, but you never know. But we will move on to the next Manchester club, Manchester United. They have signed, according to Ralph Ragnick, they needed 7 or 8 signings, I think he said. They've got 3. One of them is a bit of a backup in Tyrell Malaysia. I don't know how you say that. And they got Christian Eriksen in for free. They have lost Paul Pogba, Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Nemanja Matic, and Edison Cavani, all for free. Dean Henderson has also went on loan, and he sold Andreas Pereira. They've also signed Lisandro Martinez from Ajax for 68 million, close to 70 million, I think. Look, I want to roast Lisandro Martinez first. He's 5'9". He's absolutely, like, as a footballer, nothing wrong with being 5'9". Absolutely nothing wrong. That is, an average height in the UK, or maybe just below. But as a professional football player, as a centre back, playing in one of the most aerial dominated leagues in the world, we've seen how much Joe Gomez struggles with aerial duels, and he's 6'2". Matty, I'll go to you first. Is this Martinez signing a good deal for the price they're paying?
No way, not a chance. I feel like I read somewhere at the start of the window, United had about 100 million to spend this window. I don't know if I'm right with that figure. I think it was around 100 million. So they've basically spent up, because they spent was about 10, 15 million on that backup. Eriksen, I think, is a good signing. I think it's mad they almost had a free run at him, bar Brentford, because I think he adds a lot to quite a lot of sides in the league. But that Martinez he's going to struggle. Like Joe Gomez, in my opinion, is twice the player that he is. And Joe Gomez struggles aerially in this league, and he's probably one of the best centre-halves in world football. Matip and Van Dijk dominating the aerial duels, but they're massive, they're huge. Like, that's the caliber of player that you need to succeed in this league. And I think to spend about, 70% of your budget on that one player is a bit mad, because they've lost Cavani and Lingard, and they haven't really replaced them in the attacking front. And all these United fans, because they beat us in the stupid Bangkok Cup, think they're going to go on and win the lot. And they literally, they're so weak. I think they're so weak.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, we signed Ibrahima Konate for 36 million, and they went and signed Martinez for whatever it was, like, it's over 60 million. I know
if
that
they
much.
get everyone they want, though, he's basically trying to put Ajax in the Prem. And I honestly think, as Ajax are, they're probably they're a top 10 side, but probably like a 7th or 8th finish. That's not a touch out. Ajax could never win the Premier League, and the players he wants, he is targeting Ajax players.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, we'll go on to that. The main 2 people he's targeting are Frankie de Jong from Barcelona, who doesn't want to move to Manchester United, yet they're still pursuing him, and Anthony. Ajax won 59 million, so 60 million for Anthony this summer, and Barcelona won 85 million euros. I know Ten Hag's work with them, but that's a massive risk, isn't it?
It's a mad one for me, mate. They should have walked away from the Frankie de Jong thing weeks ago. That player clearly does not want to go to Man United. And if he does end up going there, it's because they paid him ridiculous money, which is what got them where they are, paying people money that don't give a shit about playing for the team. Seeing the team Maria, Pogba, Lukaku, you can go on and on, mate. Like, they should have walked away from that deal weeks ago. People shouldn't even be speaking about Frankie de Jong going to United anymore, but they are, and it just shows how poorly that club are run, mate. Like, it's embarrassing, to be honest, a club that big being run the way it is. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it is embarrassing. It's an embarrassment. I don't even know why they're looking for that position, mate. Like, they're crying for defenders. The fans hate Harry Maguire, even if he started playing well in the United shirt. The fans won't give him a chance to do it anyway. He got booed for the whole first half the other day in a friendly game. It's mental. Eric Bally injured all the time. Lindelof been there years, another flop. We need centre halves. I know they've just signed Martinez, and I thought we can laugh about his height, but the only other centre half I can think of that was small and it worked was Mascherano, and it only worked because he was in Spain. It wouldn't have worked in the Premier League for him, I don't think.
He was a dog.
Mate,
I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, yeah, he was such a proper dog. Loved to tackle. It's mad, mate. That United job's just it's such a big job. It's massive. I wouldn't know where to start with that job, but I think spending that amount of money on a centre half like that, like you just said, in the Dutch league, completely different to the Premier League. There's only really 2-3 teams that even give it a go in Holland: PSV, Ajax, and who's the other one? Feyenoord. Apart from that, mate, the standards there are like Championship League One. So to put all your eggs in that basket because you've worked with them before, I think it's mental. They'd have been better getting Koulibaly. I know he's older, but he's a quick fix, and they need a quick fix.
Yeah, I mean, Ritchie, you know, as we said, they've lost the likes of Pogba, Lingard, Cavani, Dean Henderson. These aren't starters, but they're squad players who they were using consistently last season. You know, Anthony Martial's come back from a loan. He looks like he's going to be thrown into the team. Cristiano Ronaldo still isn't happy there. I know all the United fans are made up because Eric Ten Hag's making them run in training. You know, whoop-de-doo, it's normal things, but, you know, they're gassing it up. I mean, maybe Rangnick was right. This team just needs, 10 signings, and it looks like they're trying to do it, but they just don't have the pull. It seems like they're more relying on Eric Ten Hag's pull more than the Man United pull at the moment, doesn't it?
There's several things here. One of my most favourite things to discuss is the demise of Manchester United alongside the glory of Liverpool Football Club. Listen, Lisandro Martinez, we should not write him off for his hype because the likes of Cannavaro, Baresi, they were smaller players. Puyol was only 5'10". They were smaller players and they were decent in the air. I mean, listen, also looking at Martinez's Champions League aerial duels, he won 64% per game. Who's the better centre half, would you say, Lisandro Martinez or Ruben Diaz? Well, let me tell you, Ruben Diaz only won 46%. So I don't think aerial duels will be. He can read the game. I think that to me is not really an issue. The height, because of the 3 centre backs that I mentioned who are world class anyway. So the height bit doesn't necessarily matter. I don't think. It's quite clear that whatever Ten Hag says about Harry Maguire, you've got Varane, Martinez, and Maguire. I'm pretty sure that Maguire situation, he won't play as many games this season because of those 2 centre backs. If Varane can stay fit. And again, Varane, used to be a world-class centre-back. He used to be compared alongside Virgil van Dijk. When everyone used to say, I always used to say Van Dijk's the best centre-half in the world. Who's better? Varane. That was everyone's stock answer because he played in Madrid. So he's one of the best because he's really tall, etc. I don't think that Martinez might be the answer to all of Manchester United's woes, but I do think he is better. I think he's better than Maguire. I think if you play him alongside Varane, you would see a much more solid back 2. Malaysia is obviously coming in because Shaw cannot stay fit, and Shaw not staying fit allows this 22-year-old left back to come in and perhaps then take over that role too. Now, we said Pogba, Matic, Mata, not really Henderson, Lingard and Cavani, they did play for Manchester United, and at a time they were important to Manchester United, but they've saved a lot of money by getting them off the books. And that's what Man United needed to do, because they were very close to turning into Barcelona, and their wage structure was ridiculous. You look at the wages that those boys were on, even Lingard, they were insane wages. No wonder they didn't want to leave. So they had to get them off the books. They had to. There's just no way that they could have kept it. I think Eriksen's a smart buy. I'm not really sure if Fernandes and Eriksen play together, but again, we've seen Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne, two quite similar players, play together. It will mean that Bruno will have to do a lot more running than he currently is doing, even though he is ironically one of the runners in that Manchester United team. But Eriksen, you would expect, maybe won't run as much if they do play together, that is. Frankie de Jong, if I'm a Man United fan, lots of my friends are, and I've said it several times, why are you still chasing him? He clearly does not want to go. Barcelona owe him, or are in debt of him, whichever way you want to put it, 17 million euros. He's not going to move just like that because a team in the Europa League want him. He's not going to give up 17 million euros. Ironically, Barcelona have said to him, you will only get that 17 million if you move to Manchester United, because they'll take it out the transfer fee, which is why they're asking for so much money. But it's clear that he doesn't want to go. This has been the problem with Manchester United. They keep on throwing money at the Paul Pogbas, at the Cavani's, people who don't necessarily want to be there. So why on earth are you chasing somebody who's not really set La Liga on fire, who doesn't want to be there? He's not going to want to play for you. We've seen in the past, like Martial doesn't want to play for Manchester United. And we've seen the effect Ronaldo now doesn't want to play for Manchester United because he knows he's not going to win silverware and it's not going to stroke his Ballon d'Or ego. Why are they going after these players? Surely they would rather see Elanga on the wings, someone who wants to be there, someone who wants to try and elevate himself. But listen, I love seeing Manchester United's demise as much as I see Liverpool win. I don't know which I enjoy more sometimes. Sometimes I just don't know. But I think, Sancho will be better. I would like to think that Rashford would be better. And I think, Martial might be better. Again, the jury's out a little bit with him because he is so just enigmatic and sporadic. I just don't know. You just never know with Manchester United. The fact that Ronaldo wants to leave and no one wants to actually buy him. They're talking about loans on Sporting. It's just, it's at this point, it's ridiculous. I just don't understand the club, if I'm honest. I do think that the window that they've had has improved their team, funnily enough, but they've got so much more to do. And Ten Hag, yes, he's got them running. I saw earlier Mark Goldbridge tweeted, Ten Hag's banned alcohol. Really? That's like revolutionary, isn't it? For an athlete, they're not allowed to drink alcohol. Maybe that was a problem last year. They were all pissed up. I don't know. But either way, something is rotten at the club. The fans are sick of it. My friends are sick of it. And it's funny because they all say, oh, we want the Glazers out. They've spent 65 million again so far, this summer. And they cannot ever, man, us Liverpool fans, we moan, don't we, FSG out. But I tell you what, have a look at their Man United owners, because Christ, that's owners that you don't want anywhere near that football club. And until those owners are gone, and I hope they stay there forever, that club won't ever be consistently challenging for that top four even. And I'm not even talking about Premier League. But their window itself, I think they've made some smart moves. I think they got rid of the deadwood. The likes, that list. Are they bothered about that? Would you be bothered if you was a Man United fan about those people leaving? Probably not.
I think they'll play more of the kids this year, though, to be honest, like that Garnacho and stuff, because Ten Hag's used to playing with younger players, developing players like he did at Ajax. I think they will play some of the kids. But I think Varane, I'd honestly rather have Nat Phillips.
He's overrated, isn't he?
At least he can stay fit. He can stay fit.
Ramos,
he's got so many mistakes in him, though, and he did it at Madrid.
Varane look good. Sergio Ramos, it's like Van Dijk can make anyone look good. Ramos made Varane look good. The minute he's when I'm playing,
Van Dijk made Lovren at times look like prime Maldini sometimes. But that's what I'm saying. Like Varane was this amazing centre back, world class, absolutely fantastic, wasn't he? You talk about the elite, he was in there. But you play him alongside Maguire, he hasn't got a clue, which is why I do think he'll be better if you do play him against, alongside someone like Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, it's like Bakayoko and Drinkwater as well, wasn't it? Bakayoko will look great next to Fabinho and Drinkwater look great next to Kante. You take them two players away and both mediocre, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Louis is flexing on us in Cyprus. Lovely to see. It's not roasting here anymore, Louis, but you never know. Again, guys, make sure you do leave a like on the video. We are moving on to our final club. But before we go on to that, I just want I'll just run over Newcastle's business, which I think is quite good. Maybe not the 200 million everyone was expecting, but to me, that proves that, you know, the owners have a plan and they're sticking to it. Matt Target, 15 million was good for him when he come in. Nick Pope for 10 million is a great signing. And Sven Botman, someone who Liverpool will link with a lot, for 35 million is an unbelievable signing. Also, Nottingham Forest having a decent window, bringing in former Liverpool player Taiwo Awoniyi, Nico Williams as well, Omar Richards from Bayern Munich, Dean Henderson. You know, I think they could do really well if they hit the ground running next season. But on to our final club, if I can find them. Tottenham Hotspur. So far, they've brought in 6 players. Fraser Foster from Southampton, Ivan Perisic from Inter Milan, both on free transfers. Also brought in Clement Longley from Barcelona on a loan. They have signed Yves Bissouma, 35 million from Brighton. Jed Spence, 20 million from Middlesbrough, and they have signed Richarlison for 60 million, and they've let go of Steven Bergwijn for 26.5, and he has joined Ajax. I mean, Matty, it's a good window, isn't it? You know, as much as a lot of people will say they overpaid for Richarlison, you know, let's take that out, but the rest of the window they've improved, and you know, the likes of Spence and Perisic and even Bissouma are great signings for an Antonio Conte side, aren't they?
Yeah, Conte is a serial winner, and he worries me when he makes signs. But then he is known for making a proper mad signing as well sometimes. And I do think Richarlison will be one of them proper mad signings that nobody really understands why he's went there. He's the worst footballer I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. I think I'd do a better than he can in the Premier League. But other than him, Bissouma is a steal because he's been cleared of that charge now, hasn't he? So he's a free man, a steal at 26 million. Jed Spence, I haven't seen nothing of him really, but apparently he's exciting. Loads of people talking about from the Championship last year. But for me, getting Perisic in is massive because he can play left back, left wing, centre mid, probably even play up front if he wanted to, and then getting Longley in at the back as well. I think that's a good piece of business. Bergwijn didn't really play for them. I think he was a bit of a flop for them, to be honest. And then I've just had a look. Then they've got the likes of Ndombele off loan and Brian Gill as well, who's I know got a proper exciting future ahead of him. That Brian Gill, they're both coming off the loan. So I think Tottenham will surprise a few people, to be honest with you, this season. I think European football may affect some of the results, but I think they'll go out the Champions League early on, to be honest with you. I don't think they're strong enough to compete in Europe. But I think they'll surprise people. Conte's a fantastic manager. If City lose Bernardo Silva, Tottenham will finish above them.
Jay, what are your thoughts on that? They've had obviously a good window so far, but you know, where the likes of Liverpool have signed Nunes, you know, City have signed Haaland, Chelsea have signed Sterling. If Richarlison is your marquee signing, that's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
I was very surprised by it, to be honest. Richarlison, just for the money involved. He works hard. I'll give him that. That's all I'll ever give him. He runs like mad. But you need to do to play for Conte, and I think that's half the thinking behind it. But he's only going to be a squad player. He's not getting an over Son. He's not getting an over Kane. He's not getting an over Kulusevski. Kulusevski was brilliant last season when he came in. Arguably one of the better players in the league for the second half of the season. So I find it strange that they spend 60 million on someone who's going to be a squad player, because for me, Lucas Moura plays over Richarlison as well. He gets a bit of a hard time, Lucas Moura at Tottenham. I think when he plays, he does really, really well, but no one ever seems to fancy him.
Apparently, he's going to be Conte's new Victor Moses, being the right wing back.
It makes sense, mate, because every time I watch him, I think he has a quality game. He doesn't half work hard as well. I like Moura. I'm a fan of him. But I think arguably Tottenham and Villa have had the best window so far for me, personally. think Tottenham look much stronger since they brought these players in. Bashoom is a steal. Like Matty just said, Spence does look exciting. He was good last season. Dead positive right back, young. Richarlison, yeah, like Matty said, I thought that was a strange one, but it does give them more options on the front line again, which maybe they were a little bit short. Now they've got Lucas Moura, Perisic, and Richarlison, so they've got 3 players who can replace the front 3. So it was clever business in a sense. So yeah, I'd argue Tottenham and Villa have had the best window so far, and I agree with Matty. Conte's a world class manager, and I think Tottenham definitely nails on top 4 next season, but where in that top 4 I don't know. Might be too soon for them to mount a title challenge, but I said that when he took over at Chelsea and won it, so time will tell.
I mean, Richie, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Apparently the business still isn't done. Patricio, the new sporting director, is working on a few things. I think Conte said he wanted about 8 players. So, do you think that they can, push Liverpool and City for the title, or if not, do you think they'll be the closest competitor?
I would say that they've won the window. I think I agree with what we're saying so far. Obviously, there's still time yet for Liverpool to get in Jude Bellingham. I couldn't go a podcast or a stream without putting that in there. So yeah, I would say that Tottenham have probably by far and large had the best business. They have spent a lot. Spent nearly 100 million. And most of that outlay did go on Richarlison, who I did think was overpriced. But again, he can tend to play across any of that front 3. So if Kane does get injured, gone are the days of having to rely on Llorente to come in or Soldado to come in and replace Kane, because Richarlison could slot in there. And if he doesn't, then Son will slot in there and Richarlison will go out wide. So I think, that's really it's smart. They've basically got 4 high quality forwards. Richarlison isn't on the same level as the other 3, but at the same time, he is Premier League proven, and he does score goals. I know Everton are shite, and he still managed to score goals for them, mainly from the penalty spot. But, so it is okay. I think, and again, I'm not slating Liverpool's business, but I think Basuma might be the signing of the window. I think that was a really shrewd bit of business. They must have known something was going on with obviously what happened with him. They must have known that it was 99% it was going to get cleared. And if so, fair play to them. I think that's a really good signing, because they were a bit uninspired in that centre of midfield with the likes of Winks and Højbjerg. So yeah, I think Forest have had a good window. And when I say Forest have had a good window, I'm not talking about bringing in superstars. I think I'm talking about keeping them up, because that's going to be so important to Forest. So I think Tottenham probably followed by Forest. But either way, yeah, I think they've had a good window, and they probably addressed where they needed to address, and it doesn't look like they're done yet.
I think Leeds have had the best window.
Yeah, they've had they've signed Tyler Adams.
They've signed Brendan Aronson, Lewis Sinestra, Tyler Adams, Mark Rower, who Mark Rocker thinks a really good signing from Bayern Munich, and then they've got that Darko Gabi from City, who's meant to be unbelievable. And
they brought loads in, yeah.
They brought loads of players in and fixated the money off it from Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. But I think they brought players in who've worked for Jesse Marsh before. But Tyler Adams, the fact they've got him is mad. I think that's a proper good signing to get him. And then
I think as well. Losing Rafinha and Phillips, arguably their 2 best players. I don't know, where are their goals going to come from? Where's their creativity going to come from?
He's brought the Colombian in from Final, that Lewis Sinestra. He's a left winger.
Sinestra.
I think they'll come Bamford's back. Bamford was a massive loss for them last year.
Aronson as well. He's more of a 10. Aronson, who he brought in, he's more of a 10. Yeah. So we'll get the goals. I think
Salzburg.
I still think they'll sign another player too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I think
they've got money now, haven't they?
The link with that looking here on transfer market, that Cali Morendo from PSG, the centre forward, who's meant to be a monster. So they get someone like him in, and Leeds have had a really, really good window. They've gone about the business quietly.
They have.
They've been linked to players like Gakpo and that as well. So
have you seen the ages?
All kids, all got 8 years at least on them.
all around 21 to 25 years old. So again, building for the future. And yeah, that's what you want to see at a football club, right? Which is why earlier when I said about the Koulibaly, that's for a here and now. Same as Diogo Carlos for Villa, that's a here and now signing. I do love, and this is why I love Liverpool, is because apart from the Thiago deal, they were signings not just for now, they're signings for the future. Now, sometimes
Otavio as well to replace Rafinha. Weren't you meant to be getting him in from Porto? That Otavio.
Otavio? Shut up.
They were linked with him as well. I've seen a few rumours with him. So they aren't done yet because they've lost Rafinha and they haven't got a backup for him. They need another right winger now, so they'll go and get someone. So they aren't done. The money they've already spent, they've made back in two sales. So I don't think Leeds will get like top four, but I could see Leeds maybe getting the Conference League or Europa League, to be honest with you. I rate Jesse Marsh. I think he's a good manager.
Mate, they're an attractive team as well. You want to see football. Boys. They're attractive team as well. I do like seeing teams attack and making sure that it was Jesse Marsh's way. I think he came in. I think he had a rocky time, didn't he, to start with, and there seemed to be a bit of a hangover. Everyone just seemed dead on their feet, didn't they, after Bielsa? But he's done well. Listen, before we go, can we talk about Everton's transfer window? Because they've had an absolute blinder, haven't they?
James Tarkowski. I think it's a decent signing for them, but
yeah, it's good sign.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I just really want to quickly, I know, Richie, you've said Bassoum as your transfer of the window. Matty, Jay, I'll give you a bit of time to do yours, but Matty, who's your transfer of the window so far?
Let me just have a quick skim over who's come. I think of every club. I
mean, I'll go for mine first. I think Basuma is definitely up there. I think Fabio Carvalho is going to be absolutely amazing for Liverpool this season.
Can't have Liverpool players, mate. Can't have Liverpool players.
Yeah,
come on.
But I'm going to go with a bit of a curveball. If he's as good as I think he's going to be, Sven Botman will be unbelievable for Newcastle next season.
Yeah.
And I think it's only a matter of time if he performs with them before someone comes in, a big club comes in and it's like, okay, he performed at a top level and signed him. I think he's going to be unbelievable for Newcastle. But Matty, you got yours ready?
If we're just going to go, I thought we were going to go with most exciting play, but I'm going to go Boubacar Kamara for Aston Villa. I think he's in under Steven Gerrard, and he was a free transfer. I think he's going to be. I think Villa will probably sell him at the end of the year for 50 mil.
Yeah, he's looked good in pre-season as well. I saw a couple of highlight videos, but Jay, I mean, you can stick with Kamara or you can get somebody else. But
no, I can't say Kamara now. Matty's took at you. There's two, I think. No. I think Nick Pope's a really good signing for Newcastle, but I don't think he needed them because they had the Bravka. So, Sterling, probably. I think for the price and the proven goals and what he'll bring to you, he can go straight in. Probably Sterling. I would have said Kamara, but yeah, Raheem Sterling because of he's guaranteed goals and 40-50 million for guaranteed goals, I think is really good, especially given his age as well.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly throw something out there? Who's do you think? So you've said Sterling for the goals. Do you think Jesus will score more than Sterling? And if so, would that make him a better?
It's a good question, mate, because Jesus is a number 9 and he's never been deployed as a number 9. He's played on the wing or false 9. And Arteta toward the end of last season tried to play identical to City nearly with 5 at the front, which will be Jesus pressing. So it's a good question. I'm gonna say Sterling just because he does it every season.
Matty?
I think Núñez will get golden boot, mate, any day.
Nah, you're right off Salah.
No, I think Salah will be in the mix, but I think Salah will have a lot more assists this year. I think we've seen him last year being a lot less selfish, and I think Núñez is that target man. And we've got Kevin De Bruyne at right back basically, and we've now got a target up front. So I honestly think Darwin Núñez is going to have an unbelievable season for Liverpool because everyone's doubting him. Everyone always doubts a Klopp signing, and they're always world class. So
There will be a lot of fun tweets to go through, but when the transfer window is officially open or closed, we will revisit this. Probably be with other people just to get everyone's opinions out. But Richie and Matty and Jay, thank you so much for joining. Go and check out all their social medias. Thank you for everybody else who joined the stream today. But I've been Charlie. This has been the LFC Transfer Room, and thank you for watching.